Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
And welcome back to the Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast. I am your host, Lottie, and I'm just going to drop this breaking news. Claire Hunt has been found. She was found with Alessia Russo as she was emptying her pockets with her keys and her phone. So, yeah, it's a North London derby, 5-0 to the Arsenal, and I am back with Adam and Matt. And we're feeling very good, I hope. Aren't we, Adam?
Very much so. North London's red. Always has been, always will be. And this was a particularly, I think special is probably a strong word, but it was an enjoyable derby, especially compared to how our derbies went last season. This felt like a return to the normality we're used to. And it was jolly good fun.
Matt, how are you feeling? I know you were stuck at home without us. I mean, you can hear my voice is gone. So
yeah, it was definitely an interesting one, because this is one of the games that I usually come to, and just unfortunately this time I wasn't able to. But there was a five-alive feeling, and I think fantastic Mrs. Fox and the Fabulous Five have something to say, that's for sure. It was a really good game to watch back. I think there's more that probably, if I go back and watch it again, I think that I would probably pick up a lot more than I did the first time around.
No. Yeah, I completely agree there. Right, just a quick breaking news. We have a Liverpool FA Cup fixture update. It is going to take place on the 9th of March, like we previously mentioned. It will be a 2:30 kickoff at Meadow Park. Tickets will be sold at a to be confirmed date. Little Arsenal legend update as well. Emma Bryne is now the assistant coach in the championship to Southampton, and will be working alongside Vivian Leah. Matt, what do you think she can bring to Southampton?
And Leah Harper, don't forget about that.
I'm sorry, I knew there was someone else on my list. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that.
It's really, I know I keep saying it, really interesting, but if you think about it, Emma Bryne has been on the co-commentator grid for a while now. She does do a lot of the coaching with Republic of Ireland, and it's horrible to say because Southampton haven't reached the heights that they usually do in the Championship. They are on course for their worst finish in Championship, and that's a really weird considering that they're usually hitting 30 odd points. This season it's just completely new manager, and it's just not whatever's wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but Remy Allen and this team don't seem to be a match made in heaven with Mariona Spacey Kale, now the director of women's football. But the fact that you've got a former Gunner now also has her hands on two Gunner loanees, and to be able to help their development, I think that's a huge thing. The only question is, it's a goalkeeper, so how can she improve the outfield? But I think Emma Bryne's actually developed well within the game. The fact that she's probably able to take that back seat and realised, right, it's not say 20 years ago where she's playing cup final against Umea in the Champions League final anymore, and the goalkeepers aren't as standard. It's more about playing with your feet, so it's probably able to get that coaching degree of picking up on those sort of technical skills. And I think that'll be one thing that she can pass on, is that she has a lot of experience and she'll be a great asset to Southampton. So hopefully touching wood, it does go to plan for her.
Now, next bit of breaking news: Beth Mead and Lotte Wubben-Moy have been withdrawn from the England squad due to injuries. Chloe Kelly has been called up for the Nations League alongside Alessia Russo. They will be playing away to Portugal on Friday at 7:45 p.m. UK time on the 21st of February. Please check what time it will be on in your time zone, depending where you're listening in the world. And then the girls will be back on next Wednesday on the 26th of Feb, hosting Spain for an 8 p.m. kickoff. Adam, are we looking forward to the international break?
No, no. Portugal should be interesting. I think we had them in the World Cup warm-up, and it wasn't a great game. Sort of highlighted maybe where we were at that time. I would hope we beat Portugal, but the Spain, it's Spain, isn't it? England haven't been great since the World Cup. I think we saw that in some of those friendlies before Christmas. I think the Germany game really stands out. There'll be no Lauren Hemp. There'll be no Alex Greenwood. Though Leah Williamson will be obviously have to be in better shape than she was in that particular run of games. And Alessia Russo is in a bit of form, so there's hope there. It's difficult. With Serena Wiedmann at the moment, legend for us, won us the Euros, but I do just get the sense that maybe that we're seeing it's not going to last beyond this Euros. I think this might be her last run. I do feel at times that maybe the magic is running out, and if we are to have a good Euros, this will be the international break where we'll sort of properly be able to gauge where we are. And with the injuries to Greenwood and Hemp, it's an opportunity for some of the more fringe players to maybe make their case. I think like sort of Myla Tissier in defence. There's a free slot now on the wing with no Hemp. Obviously, Kelly's now been brought in because of Mead's absence. But there's going to be some players like Jess Park. You can maybe, or Jess Naz. Players could, use this to stake a claim. If they have a great game, even if we lose, with friendlies, it's not about the result. The results are great, but it's really about the performances. And if one of these players coming in to take one of these roles can have a really good game against Portugal or Spain, stake their claim, it could do wonders for them because, as we know under Serena, once the team is set, it's very difficult for it to change. Serena doesn't like making it. Once Serena has a winning formula, that's it. That is it for the tournament. That's it for the next few years. So there's an opportunity here, and I do think we need some changes in the team because we can't because some of the players are retired, but we can't just play the team that won the Euros in 2022 and expect to win the Euros again this year. So it's an opportunity. We'll be seeing how it goes, but I'm not confident we'll beat Spain. But Portugal should be interesting.
No, definitely. I'm not usually a fan of the Nations League, but here we go again.
Here we go again.
Yeah, but can we just get back to the important stuff now? As much as I love international football, I want to go back to the Arsenal. So we're still unbeaten in the North London derby at home after our 5-0 win. There was 56,784 fans, including myself and Adams, in the stadium. I think we've all seen that horrible clip from TalkSport saying nobody really cares about women's football. Does that figure not say otherwise?
I mean, that is as much of a leading question as I mean, there is only one answer. I mean, the clip itself was just absolute hogwash. Let's just make it clear. It was made by it was a soundbite from somebody who has no interest in the game, and because they have no interest, wants to assume that nobody else has as well. And so I don't value that person's opinion on the matter because it's not come from anywhere factual. It's a far from the hip, because just because you don't like something doesn't mean nobody else does. And believe me, I know that too well. I don't like Taylor Swift, but I know for a fact that lots of people love her. So obviously so likewise with women's football, just because that chap thinks that it's not worth it, no. Clearly it is much loved, much supported. And the Arsenal faithful made their voices heard throughout the game. That attendance was felt, and and then we should just say These aren't one-offs, as people like to try and spin it. It's, oh, well, it's just a one-off game. It's just a derby. No, because it was the derby last season, and it was the Manchester United game, and it was the Wolfsburg game, and we've been hitting very good. It's not. It's no longer the one-off, and not to swerve violently into a shameless plug, but I think nothing exemplified that more than the fact
Here
that
we go.
the Gooner was selling their fanzine and opted to use this game to do it, and it's sold. And that is the people are. It's not because some people say, oh, it's the tickets are cheap. If it's free, they're doing it for that. People willing to part with their money to buy the fanzine outside the stadium, which was great. And thank you to everybody who bought one off me, because it really meant a lot. Thank you very much, Lottie, for getting one off me in the pub. Much appreciated.
You know what sold it? It was the artwork on the back of Chloe Kelly. That just sold
Must have been.
me.
But when I was doing that, I was talking to the people who are people have come from Germany. People had come from Scotland. People had travelled. It's just not just, oh, I'm going to my local. People have made the effort to come from everywhere to watch this game, because they are loved. The team is loved, rightly so, not just by a few select Arsenal fans in the local area, but the world. And the derby itself was a celebration of that. And I think his words can go in the bin with that Spurs performance, as far as I'm concerned, because absolutely, I said, absolute hogwash and not worth the airtime it was given.
Matt, have you got anything to add to that?
Well, I think just on the whole attendance thing, it's probably up there as one of the highest that we've got in terms of WSL attendances. But the derby usually is. It's usually one of the ones that sell out the quickest over the most. I think the only thing that probably didn't mean it was a complete sellout was probably the fact that it might have been some transport links weren't 100% available, so it meant that people couldn't travel and get to the game, which is a shame. Sometimes it's these games that's at 12:30 is a pain. There's been times, I think it was the Everton game this season, it was 12:30, and I missed the first 5 minutes because my train was delayed by a couple of minutes. So
sorry, Matt, was that the home game against Everton at Everton?
Home game, yeah.
Don't worry, Matt, you didn't miss anything.
But it's things like that though that is just, I think a lot of people not people, it's more about the transport links. It's not them not being good, it's them not understanding that people want to be at these events, and because they don't understand that, it's maybe putting people off. I think that's one thing that needs to be looked at. It's one of my pet hates of a certain venue that's in the WSL. I have written a piece on stadiums and things like that on Substack about some of the stadiums and whether or not they should be considering actually increasing their capacity to only 10,000 seat stadiums. And it's one of those things that I think maybe they need to look at as what needs to be included, so that you've got places like Meadow Park where 4,000 fans are there every week. You've got at Wharton Hall Park, there's only 2,000, so that needs to be looked at as well, especially when the bigger teams come. No offense to Everton intended. It's just when you have a team like an Arsenal come there, most of those tickets going, and they can't keep up with the demand, and so it's things like that. I hope and think will happen in the future. But it's a great testament to have those high numbers, and I don't know if we're on to 1 million again this season, but it'll be close. I'm sure if it's not, it'll be very close. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on, because as well it just shows us how far the game is developing, not in terms of attendance, but in terms of capacity to see that there's a continuing interest. Last season it was post World Cup, so there was that lioness interest, shall we say, and we had a few World Cup winners join the league as well. So it's interesting to see how it will go next season, post Euros, and then the year after as well, because we might see some different terms of capacity and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, but back to starting lineups. 5 changes. We see Daphne Van Zomsla, Emily Fox, Leah Williamson, Steph Catley, Mariona Caldente, Katie McCabe, Frida Leonardson-Mornan, Leah Folty, Caitlin Ford, Alessia Russo and Kyra Cooney-Cross. And on the bench, we had Manu Zinsberger, Amanda Ellisted, Katie Reid, Beth Mead, Stina Blackstenius, Chloe Kelly, Kim Little, Leia Kadina, and Jenna Niswanger. Is this what we kind of expected?
No, I was hoping Kelly would start, given that she's been on the bench. Well, she's not been on the bench. She's been out of the team for cup tie reasons. It's one of the weird, sort of bizarre way you think the dice of all of this one that she's been unavailable for the first 2 or 3 games for Arsenal, which is a bit unlucky. So I was hoping to see her start, but
no thanks to Man City.
Yeah, no thanks to Man City, but no matter. She did get her momentum. We'll talk about that later, but it was, I think the other quick player would have been Lotta. She's been rather good for us since coming back into the team. Didn't start. Believe it's a muscular injury, hence why she's at the England squad. They're going to have some tests. But what was pleasing to see is that we saw Steph Catley back at centre back, which which gives you now a sense of calm. There's a sense of what's the word is, but sense of safety. Just think Archie at centre back. She's because we saw what her at left back, and it was like putting your foot in the wrong shoe. It just didn't quite feel right, which is weird because left back was her home, but we're so accustomed to her being a centre back, and she's looked so at home playing at left centre back for Steph Catley. It was great to see her back in that role again, and of course Katie McCabe at left back again. And Russo up top. We gave because we've had the wingers back. Caitlin Ford's now back to fitness, and I think we had Mariona on the left this time around. We didn't have Russo on the wing. Russo was the number 9, the lead striker. Stina was on the bench, and it just felt like the last few games we've had a lot of square pegs in round holes to cater for some injury absences and some cup tie absences. The LCL game we had Stina on the wing by the end of it. Just stuff like that. And Jenna Niswanger playing in the midfield, which confused a few people as well. This felt like back to the team playing in the players playing in the positions that they should be playing in. And it was pleasing to watch, and I think the benefits of that we saw on the day.
I think for me, just the only player was probably a bit suspect that didn't actually start. She didn't actually come on the pitch, was Beth Mead. Usually, when you look at a North London derby, who's won the top goal, who's one of the ones that are going to be on the score sheet first, it's Beth.
I think any game at the Emirates, for me, Beth Mead starts.
But she's got an injury. That's the thing. I think as it turns out.
Yeah, but we didn't know that. We didn't know that.
Leading up to this, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad that she didn't come on in the end. And I think if she did come on, I think that kind of takes away from some of the players that kind of need the minutes at the moment. So it was great to see her given a rest. I was a bit surprised that Katie Reid didn't come on, but I think that's again about managing minutes. But in the other case, another player's got minutes instead, which I'm fine with.
The last 2 cup games, she has had 180 minutes, more or less, give or take.
Yeah. It's one of those where you're a bit surprised, but you kind of it's like a happy surprise, if that makes any sense to you. It's a bit of a shame that they didn't come on, but I'm happy with it because it means that they probably get a little bit of a break and a little bit of a rest before they go again in the. I think Katie Reid's been called up for the under 23 squad at the moment, so it'll be one to keep an eye on for sure.
No, absolutely. So kicked off very un-Arsenal-like during the thing. So Oros volleyed the ball over the bar from early Spurs free kick before dead ball delivery from Kyra Cooney-Cross at the other end and resulted in Katie McCabe toe poking her effort over the edge of the area. So it was going to be a tennis ball game by the sounds of things.
For 10 minutes, let's just be frank, for 10 to 15 minutes, I thought, okay, this is, Russo got us up and running away at Spurs after just 2 minutes. So clearly, Spurs have upped their game for this one. So yeah, for 10, 15 minutes, I thought, you know what, Spurs have had a few good forays into our half. We haven't quite settled. I mean, you mentioned Lottie, 5 changes. Was a bit maybe lacking of fluency there, but Spurs didn't really do anything in that 15 minutes. They moved the ball around a bit and they had a bit of territory, but there was nothing that made you go, "Oof, we've dodged a bullet there." Just to compare, later on that evening, I was watching Manchester City beat Liverpool, and they beat Liverpool 4-0, and it was a comfortable game. It was, Bunny Shaw up front and Miedemar and Virginio, that's going to beat any team. And they won 4-0. But before they got the lead, Liverpool had some really good shot. The best one, I think, was Kerry Holland had a shot cleared off the line by Rebecca Knack. And Liverpool were thinking, oh, we should have got the lead then. They should have got the lead. There was nothing from that from Spurs. There was no jeopardy. There was no moment I thought, great save from DVD to stop Beth England scoring. There was just nothing. It was just 15 minutes of Spurs having a bit of territory, a bit of possession, but there was just no threat at all. You just felt once Arsenal just get into gear, and if they get the first goal, then I can't see any change. I can't see this game going any other way. So I wanted the goals. They did come eventually, but I wasn't worried with how the game had started.
I don't really have anything else to add on to that. For that, but if I'll say what I've got to say about the first goal, because I think that's where everything really changes.
Yeah. Well, a minute after that, anyway. Cooney cross, first class delivery, flicked towards the goal by Russo, hitting Hunt on the way in, and it's 1-0 to the Arsenal. And everyone but the Arsenal social media team seemed to thought it was Russo that scored it. So we were up and running, which is absolutely brilliant. Massive shout out to Lower North Bank, by the way, for your picture on Adidas Home Sweet Home. What a picture. But yeah, what a goal. Well, not what a goal, it's Claire Hunt that scored for us. Do you think she got a bit confused from Kyra whipping it in?
Oh, you're talking about the Australian connection here. No, I think.
Yeah, well,
firstly,
it's kind of that thing where I know this is a petty social media argument. We have an Australian spine, and our Spurs have an Australian spine.
Actually, it goes deeper than that because it comes from an error from their Australian winger, Hayley Rasso. She falls over trying to chest the ball on the touchline and ends up falling out of play. So she ends up chesting it to Kyra Cooney-Cross, who Kyra Cooney-crosses it. And can we just say, Kyra's delivery from the wings is absolutely superb. Exactly, chef's kiss stuff. It's a real asset to have in the team, especially when I think about some of the games when we've just pumped aimless crosses into boxes and we've done nothing with them. But I've said before, I want to see Kyra on corners, and this is why. It's a brilliant first time delivery, just because it was a turnover. No thought about, I'll keep the ball, I'll retain it, I'll play it backwards. No, I'm going to get that in the box immediately. Russo makes the run. Claire Hunt, it's not the first time we're going to talk about her on this podcast. It won't be the last. She had quite the day, and it's off her thigh. And you can always tell with the trajectory of the ball, because it wasn't you could tell something wasn't right the way it sort of trickled in, and the keeper was sort of a bit flummoxed by it. But at the same time, though, she does go down in history as the first Spurs woman to score at Emirates Stadium. So it's not all bad. She's the first Spurs player to do it. Just got to get it into the correct net next time. But yeah, after that, I think it was 15 minutes. You just sort of felt, right, we're in now. You think about last season, it was 0-0 at half time. It was a real turgid, ghastly contest, and this felt more like okay, we're back to how it should be. This is right. This is how the balance of power is back as it should be, and it was it was a good moment to celebrate.
I just thought it was Tottenham were on top at that point, and they just hit the self-destruct button. You look at that ball that came in, and as you mentioned, Rasso chests it, but then she falls over, and because Kyra's got that great awareness to get their foot onto a loose ball where no one else has sort of swung onto it there. It feels, I know it sounds really weird, but when no one else had that sort of mentality to get onto it, it was sort of like a caveman moment where they're just going, oh, what happened there? And then they didn't act on it. And because they didn't act on it, there was no reaction. Great awareness from Leicester to get in the box and cause the havoc that it did. And it's just things like that. You go, right, okay, the momentum's now going to swing. And it was just unfortunate that the momentum in that first half wasn't all there.
Well, let's be honest, the main theme was them giving the ball away in dangerous areas of that first half. That was the theme for Spurs for me.
Especially
allowing
straight
Caitlin
after
Ford,
the first goal.
allowing Caitlin Ford to shoot straight past Lies Kopp, literally moments later. And then there was the turn from Lessie in the penalty area midway through the first half, shot away narrow angle, but Kopp was there to equal it. I mean, Lies Kopp kept them in the game, more or less during that first half.
It says a lot. Go back, go for it.
Yeah, it does. It did sort of question why they brought in Lies Kopp, because they did have Becky Spencer, a fairly good goalkeeper as she is. But sometimes you just need to have that additional competition. And I don't know if Becky Spencer had injuries, and that's one of the reasons why they brought her in. But she is a really good goalkeeper in her own right. And I think what Leipzig's done at Leicester is probably one of the reasons why Kopp has looked to find minutes. And it's going to be one to keep an eye on, because if Kopp continues her form, you might see her move again further up the WSL. Maybe looking towards someone like Brighton that might be looking at her to sort of say, what we want to go into try and aim for Champions League spots and next season. But I take nothing away from Kopp. She did really well in that first half. I think I can't even look at how many saves she made, but she was probably a very key player, and it could have been. I think Farrah Williams on the commentary was saying it should be 5-0 up at half time. That's the sort of, as much as you give and take with a pinch of salt, Farrah Williams is ideology, shall we say. It could have been a lot worse at half time than just as it was.
All I'll add to that is it says a lot about the Spurs' performance that their best player was the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper let 5 goals were scored against that goalkeeper. I don't put any of the blame of the goals on that goalkeeper, and that goalkeeper kept it. It could, and it has been before, it could have been double figures. It was in Chloe Kelly's last London derby, put it that way. So it easily could have been. Fair play to Kopp, because it was a one player against the entire Arsenal team at points.
No, absolutely. I mean, after that there was crosses in from McCabe, Ford's sending it on target. There was Kopp again, but even Steph Catley's crosses by Russo, but the next one she couldn't do absolutely nothing about. Mariona Caldente has arrived at the Emirates in the WSL, cushioning the ball into the bottom right corner from the 18-yard box, making it 2-0. And what a goal after that flurry of attempts. I mean, she wasn't stopping that.
No. My worry was, with Kopp making all these saves, is that if we only get to half time and it's only 1-0, then you think, crikey, we've left a lot out there on the pitch. You know, you just think Northland derby, something crazy could happen. I remember there was a moment where I think it was at 0-0. There was a moment where I think it was Leah Williamson had misplaced the pass, and Beth England was suddenly running at us, and I think it might have been Foxhook and managed to race back to get a tackle. I just think something like that.
Fantastic moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I was up there 0-0, and you just think of that moment. Oh, if that had gone wrong, a player gets sent off, the game plan flies out the window. I just want that security, even though it's, to quote Fergie, it's Spurs. The the goal was superb. Mariona burst into the box, and this we
I've
talked
got a
about
better
how this.
quote for you.
Oh,
It's the history of
it's
Tottenham.
just who they are. It's just who they are. It's just who they are. Bartrip and Hunt had a nightmare game, and I think it was Hunt who got the first block in, and you think, oh, but the Mariona, what I love is the speed of thought, and at first I thought, oh, she's just blasted past the keeper. She hasn't. There is pure finesse on this. She has bent the ball around Bartrip, so the keeper's unsighted. She's got no chance because the moment she sees the ball, it's past her. And no, but so in that moment, lateral to rebound and to perfectly guide that around the defender and into the bottom corner, and it just felt that was the moment of thinking, okay, right, yeah, we're on this. This is not going to be like last season where we're sort of just hoping there's going to be another goal. It's like, right, we've got the second goal. We've got this. This team is as it should be, because we've had a few ropey league games. Obviously lost away at Chelsea, and the Man City game was a bit of a roller coaster. This was like, yeah, okay, this is like how we were at home to Crystal Palace. This is how we were at home to Brighton, and beautiful moment for Mariona. Is that her first Club Brugge goal at Emirates Stadium? I'm trying to think of the previous games you've had. There might have been a previous one, but
I'm sure she scored in the Champions League.
I mean, WSL.
She scored in the Champions League.
Yeah,
that's why I said WSL, because I knew someone was going to correct me. But I'm pretty sure it's her first one at the Emirates.
Yes,
I've seen her score.
So something we're going to frankly think about for the rest of the pod. But brilliant goal, and just I love how it's like, I think when the season started, we weren't quite sure. We knew Mariona was good, but we didn't know what she was. And I think we found that now, and I think she sort of found her role in the team. She's magic. She's superb, and I know that we're getting her almost at her prime, so we'll probably get maybe 2 or 3 seasons of this from Mariona, and I just can't wait for that. I think we're going to get 2 or 3 of just Spanish brilliance in the heart of our midfield, and love that goal. She absolutely deserved it.
Adam's kind of hit a nail on the head a little bit. Like, in terms of moments, Mariona is definitely at times can be a moments player, and the way she hit it the first time, it's a good block, but then it's almost very thunderstruck with the way she hit that with real aggression to make sure that did not get blocked, or no one was going to get anything on that at all for that one.
Yeah, but that's the magic of the derby. It brings out different animals and different people. I mean, Leah Williamson plays her heart out every single game, but she doubles that in a North London derby.
Still waiting for a North London derby.
Doubles that. Tell me I'm wrong.
Still need that goal from her though at the Emirates.
Still need the Leah Williamson derby goal badge tap in front of the North Bank. That's the moment we're all waiting for. It's another season, maybe another season.
I'll take an Ellen White where she falls over and she clumsily hits it in the back of the net at this moment in time. I'm sure she would as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No. Just on the brink of half time, Katie McCabe headed the ball headed over by Katie McCabe's cross. Sorry, I can't even read my handwriting here. Do apologise. McCabe's cross is headed over by Marnham at the brink of half time. Russo also headed it wide from another Frida Marnham delivery, and then another cutback shot from Mariona, and she shot it with the right foot and sent diving to make a save on the left hand side. But I think that wraps up the first half, more or less.
Yeah.
Was lucky for it to be 2-0.
It was 15 shots to 1. That's the level of dominance in the first half. Just, people say, oh, it was 2, it could have been 4. It was 2, it could have been 6. I mean, fair play to Kopp. And I think if you want to be really ruthless, you could say players like Ford. I know she had a really good run at the defence right on half time, just fumbled the ball slightly towards the end. If our team was red hot, like really efficient, ruthless first half, it could have been 5 at half time. And I don't think you could have argued the scoreline would have been unfair. But then I would also argue if that had been the case, I have no doubt the team would have put the handbrake on in the second half, and the next 45 minutes would have been absolutely dire. So maybe an element of balance is beneficial for the entertainment of the game as a whole. But no, a strong first half, and yeah, Cop was the reason it was not more than 2.
You can't be surprised. You really cannot be surprised about how it ended in that first half, because as soon as they got over the first goal, that was it. It was almost swings and roundabouts in the end. Just make sure you go and score another one before half time to really sort of get them quaking in the boots. And it was great to see. It was I think at first half, I think Tottenham only had one shot.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even on target. So it just goes to show you how bad that even though you think they're dominating, they weren't dominating on the where it really matters.
They brought nothing to the party, and I think this. If I got any annoyance about a derby, and I was talking to this to a friend of mine who's a Spurs fan, and we sort of discussed North London derbies, and you like it when there's a bit of a needle, when there's an element of edge and jeopardy. The derbies mean more if you know you could lose them, and that's what I mean. I'm critical of the game last season because it was an awful game to watch. It was boring, it was dull. We scraped it 1-0, but it had an edge because we'd lost the game early in the season. It was a tight game, at half time. You just think if Spurs, if something happens in our penalty area, they'd hit the woodwork. We do something stupid in our box, concede a penalty, and Beth England scores. Suddenly, we're looking at a league double against us, and that would be ghastly. And I really thought at the end of the season that Spurs had not closed the gap, but
had improved.
They'd improved sufficiently enough. They were closing the gap. The gap was still there, but derbies was growing up, but previous derbies, we used to finish like 6-1 to Arsenal, 10-0 to Arsenal, 5-1 to Arsenal. It was always a cricket score. And I really thought, great, the derbies are going to be really tense. And think back to what I can compare it to is like when Pochettino was manager of Spurs men's teams, you had those really intense, like 4-2 wins to Arsenal, 1-1 draws, or games where it was really in the balance. And it just needed a moment of brilliance one way or the other to swing it. And Arsenal would lost a few of those derbies, especially away at Spurs. The men's team did. And it's always been the annoyance with the derby in the women's game is that it's been a complete imbalance. And it's funny because to enjoy, a cricket score against Spurs, but it's almost hollow because there's nothing to it. And my anger is, to get back to the main point, is I'm really disappointed how backwards Spurs have gone. I really wanted this to be the big sort of chaotic fixture like it is in the men's team, and plenty of goals. And as I said, they've yet to score against Arsenal at Emirates Stadium since promotion to the WSL. Their last goal was actually at Meadow Park. In the WSL was at Meadow Park in a 6-1. We won 6-1 on that day. To see them go backwards like this is very disappointing.
Just to give you a rough idea, this is actually full-time stats. So, Matt, I'm going to come to you in a second as your goalkeepers union on the pod. We had a total of 27 shots, 12 on target, 6 off target, and then 9. I want to say 9. If my maths is right. 9 saves all game. It's pretty impressive from Nice Cop.
Yeah, I think Adam summed it up best if your goalkeeper's your best player on the day.
Yeah.
It really shows how bad the outfield has been. I think Adam's touched on it, that it's really weird to see a team go so backwards. I don't think that the only other team that have gone backwards, and it's really weird to say, is Aston Villa, in terms of Villa have gone and got some fantastic players, but for whatever reason on the pitch, it's not working. Whereas with Tottenham, they went and got Beth England because they were in trouble. And then they went and got Martha Thomas the next summer because Beth England was having injuries. They brought Jess Naz through the academy, which is great but she was basically missing. And if you're looking at her as to say, are you going to be a lioness? What makes a lioness most notable is they're able to create things out of nothing. And Tottenham, although they've been, yes, okay, they went into the FA Cup final last season and lost it, but there was none of that inspiration or idea of going forward and actually trying to go, right, we need to be up for this. And there was none of that. And it's really, really weird to see a team like it. Sometimes I think psychologically plays a factor. You haven't won these games before. That was beaten out of them last time because they went and won last season 1-0 at home. But it's just over and over again. It's just like they haven't come here to play. They just seem to be mentally not there for whatever reason. They were on their beaches and all sorts. They just seem to be preferred to waiting for that international break than anything else.
Thing is, I feel like they give us a better game when they've got enough of their fans in the building. I do feel like they've been severely outnumbered. If you looked at the away corner, Adam, from where we were sitting, they only had 2 blocks. Even they weren't even full. So their stats came out at full time. They had six shots in that game, 2 on target, 2 off target, and 2 saved. Yeah.
I find it staggering. I really do. And you mentioned about Beth England. In a former life, Beth England played for Chelsea, and
she never lost to Arsenal.
When she was playing for Chelsea, she was the forward I think. Before Sam Kerr, it just felt you knew that Beth England was going to score against Arsenal. Just knew it. And she won a cup final just before lockdown against Arsenal. She scored both goals, beat Arsenal in the final, and it was just. When she went to Spurs, I was like, oh, crikey, Spurs have got such a talent, and it's our bogey striker. And I think she's only got the 1 goal against us, and that was a penalty in a 5-1 win for us.
Yeah. That was over at
Leighton.
Brisbane Road.
I wouldn't have even dived on that pitch.
It's frozen solid. I don't blame Sabs, but it's just it's one of those things that they've got so much talent and they become worse at Spurs, which lol. But from a game perspective, unacceptable, and it's unacceptable that these Spurs have machinations and designs. Well, you'd hope they would have machinations and designs be good, but they just keep coughing and spluttering. They keep having this yo-yo effect with managers, where one manager will have a really good season, they go great, and the next season they'll slump. And then another manager will come in and say, oh, no, that was a really good season. They got to a cup final. And then after that, oh, no, then they slump again. Now, I think the big thing is they don't have Grace Clinton. And I think Grace Clinton was massive for them last season. But I think she was always a loan signing. So you either try to sign her or you sign the player that is going to be your alternative. And, it just looks like this is their off season, their off colour season. There's so much talent in them there that they should be doing a lot better. I think Matt's right. I think if it comes away to Arsenal, I think it's a classic case of them losing the battle before they've even set foot in the stadium. I don't think any Spurs player, and I just felt watching it on the pitch, I just thought, do any of these players actually believe they can win today? I think it must be so painful being that Spurs team, going into games and not thinking you could get a result. In that situation, because I didn't see anything that suggested they thought they were going to win on that day. And I think the second half, especially like the first 15 minutes, was just scandalous. They just didn't play. And you'd think that Robert Villahelm would have given them a half-time talking to, full Mike Bassett. And they just basically just didn't do anything. Arsenal, fair play to them, but Spurs, it wasn't good to see.
Well, we kept on coming and going. It became 3-0 in 51st minute. Caitlin Ford finding Frida Marnham on her left, whose shot was again deflected off Claire Hunt and into the back of the net. I honestly thought this was a Frida Leonardson Marnham goal.
It is.
I watched the highlights this evening. I was bitterly disappointed for Frida.
No, it's Frida's goal. It's been given to her.
Has it? Okay, yeah. But it came off Claire.
It was on target. It was on target anyway. but it was a very funny
Okay.
deflection.
Oh, fair enough. Do you know what? I have to watch it a couple more times with the deflections just to make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. But yeah, Frida's back. She's been quiet for a while.
Mm.
Matt, happy days?
You know what? I was going into this thinking, what is Frida bringing? And it was one of those, not in that sort of way. Is she going to step up? And it was. I think it's a case where she needed a goal to sort of get that confidence back up. Sometimes she has these flumps here and there, and you're thinking, not to be that mean person, but it feels like you sort of need to prod her with a stick at times and say, "Come on, do something," to sort of get her to be productive. And I think the goal helps her become more productive because she goes, right, okay, now what can I do? It's a great goal at the end of the day. I've got nothing against that. And I just hope that she now uses this as a platform to go, right, now that I've got the goal, make sure that I can be more productive, making sure that she can do the Frida Marnham things when it comes to West Ham next time, home game against West Ham.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, that will just get her back on track. But 3 soon became 4 as Caitlin Ford was offered so much space, so much time on a counter attack. This time she went straight to Alessia Russo. She tucked it in off the post. I mean, 4-0 Arsenal, Adam. I mean, how can you give Caitlin Ford that much space?
This
It's mind blowing.
space comes from a majestic touch of the ball from Frida Marnham. I was talking to Mark, who we know, and I said that is like if we wind the clock back, Arsenal men played Aston Villa at Emirates Stadium in 2015, and early doors, Mesut Ozil.
Still do.
Yeah, Mesut Ozil back heel flicks the ball through to Olivier Giroud, who then races through, stops it past the keeper for 1-0, and it's just. And when I saw that flick happen, I was like, that is a team that is bang in confidence. You don't do that at 1-0. You don't do that at 0-0. That's a team who knows we're on a winner here and we can really go for it. Spurs commit forward, showing a bit of a fight. And of course, they leave the back door wide open because of overcommitted numbers. Really good play from Arsenal to build it from back to front, but the touch from Frida is superb. And then, yeah, you got Caitlin Ford racing straight at Bartrip and Hunt, who are in mass retreat. And what I like is that it's the team smell blood. You've got Russo and you've got Mariona running full pelt to keep up and to get in position. And the Spurs team can't get back quick enough. Yeah, the rest of the team are stuck up the pitch. They've got no chance. And I mentioned that Ford had that messed up that chance right on half time. And I loved at this moment that she didn't miss control. She waited for the moment. And again, Russo times the run to perfection. Ford passes it on to Russo, and it's first time. It's instinct. It's not a touch. It's not a look. She already knows before she gets the ball. She knows exactly what she's going to do. The finish is calm precision, and I love it in off the post, which always looks a bit better. But I love it when you get that flow from back to front, just the whole team in motion. And yeah, Spurs were just this was before 60 minutes. We hadn't even hit the hour mark, and Spurs were 4-0 down. At that point, the game's over. The game is over. I think it was, well, we'll get to it, but I think after that, that's basically all the teams made all their subs. It was a superb way to start the half. 2 goals in the first 50 minutes of the second half, and I think that's when the Tottenham get battered chants started going around, which are always a laugh, especially on Derby Day. But yeah, and another Derby goal for Russo. That's 3 in a row now, I think. Is that right? 2 at Emirates, and obviously 1 earlier this season at Spurs' place. A superb team goal, but not the best goal of the day.
Oh no, not by far. But before we get to the goal of the day, as we've all been calling it, Frida Leonardson-Mornan made way for Stina Blackstenius. Caitlin Ford was taken off. 2,815 days later, since her last game for us in 2017, Chloe Kelly was back in the red and white and coming onto the Emirates pitch. I mean, it sounded like we scored a goal, Adam.
I think this got the loudest reception on the day. I really do. I mean, I'm glad I got the camera out and filmed it, but it was quite the moment. And again, I was talking with Mark about this because was it with 56,000 fans we had in the stadium?
57.
57. How it was 50.
56,784, not quite 57.
I got the wrong numbers.
I would put good money that of the fans there, 50, maybe 55,000 weren't following the Arsenal women when Chloe Kelly was at Arsenal, their first spell from 2015 to 20. Yeah, exactly. It's not a criticism. It's just a matter of fact. It's just the way the game has grown and shows. When Chloe Kelly was at Arsenal, her first spell for about through the academy and then for about 2 years in the main team, to the point where she actually wore the number 7 jersey. The game, Arsenal weren't those seasons weren't playing at Emirates Stadium at that time. They were still at Meadow Park. Meadow Park didn't even have the North Bank. The attendances were 3 figures, not 4 usually. And it's clear that this is a player who is loved, and I think it was wonderful to see. I think maybe it's since hearing about Chloe Kelly, maybe some people have gone back through the history books and had to learn it. And obviously Arsenal put the clever videos together showing her as a young player in the academy. So yes, she did used to play for Arsenal. The media are quite clever with that, and the whole back to my roots. But it's really good to see a player loved so immediately, and I should add, scoring the winner in a European final against Germany at Wembley. It does help to add a bit of credit in the bank, but it's good to see because it's been a rough season for Kelly at Manchester City for reasons I don't need to go into. It's all out there in the news and social media.
This is a celebration of the North London Derby pod. Man City problems can go in the bin.
Absolutely, but it was good to see her welcome back so enthusiastically, and I hope she has an amazing 6 months with us. I hope she would start, but I thought at the time it's interesting that Renee has gone for Kelly first and not Mead off the bench. We've since learnt that Mead, as she was in the cup tie against City, has actually got a calf injury, so I can understand actually why you go for Kelly in that regard. But yeah, that was probably the loudest moment of the pitch, and I don't think I've heard that noise for a new signing coming off the bench. And yeah, it was quite a special moment, and I just hoped she was going to score. I really hoped she was going to score because she scored in the last game. But end of her first spell, she scored away at Bristol City, and I thought it wouldn't be great if she, her first game back, she's straight back on the scoreboard.
That was the only thing missing, wasn't it? It was just that. Sorry, Lottie, I think this was one of your questions, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that you think it's going to be a fairy tale, isn't it? And Chloe Kelly's going to score in the derby, and it was just almost that was kind of script. Unfortunately, the crossbar was in the way, but
it would have been. It would have been outrageous. It would have been because that would have been the last kick of the game. It would have been absolutely outrageous. I think the scene would have flown off if that had happened. You can't have too much of a good thing. You can't ask for too much. And I think we were blessed with what we had. I think Chloe Kelly's story is going to be a lot longer than a goal in the derby. I think she's got her moment will come, and that's the moment I'm looking for.
It'll be interesting to see if it's going to be at I nearly said Walton Park there. I meant it'll be interesting to see if it's going to be at the Emirates or at the Meadow Park. Maybe it might be both.
Maybe.
Yeah, not long to go now, to be fair. Leia Cadena and Kim Little came on for Steph Catley and Kyra Cooney-Cross. With 14 minutes to go, Jenna Niswell was introduced to the Emirates Stadium for the first time ever. In the 86 minutes for Mariona Caldente. Bit of a weird one where she's playing. She's confused me. She's in the midfield this time. She was left back the other day. Adam, little help?
Yes, no. This is yes, no, no, yes. I'm answering two different answers at the same time. Do you know Nice Wonga's got a bit of a history with this because she, a bit like Katie McCabe, was not didn't start out as a left back. Actually, she has history of playing further up the pitch, forward in midfield and so forth. So, what Nice Wonga is versatile, and that's why we saw her in the midfield against Undersea Lionesses. I think in this instance she did play left back, and Katie McCabe was sort of moved more forward into a previous life as a left winger. So I think you'll see that with Nice Wonga, that she'll be used creatively within the team, and I think that's not a bad thing, because considering when you pick up injuries, it's nice to have that utility player that you can just plug and play into a position. And Kate, that's one of Katie McCabe's strengths. I know we have our opinions on her.
Utility.
Yeah, you can play McCabe in the midfield. You can play her on the left wing. You can play her at left back. I mean, if you wanted to, you could probably play her as a striker like Beth Mead. So nice. I'm not saying Nice Wonga is going to lead the line like as an emergency striker like Moreno, but she is a player that you could pop in onto the pitch and would do a decent job. I think her primary position will be left back, and I think it was Steph Catley came off for Cadena, wasn't it? That's how they did it. I think it was Cadena came on, and then they shuffled it that way. So McCabe moved forward. We haven't seen much of her, but first obviously an appearance, and obviously a derby win, so that'll do her a world of good. And I think more to come on that department. I think
it's going to be one to keep an eye on. I think Adam's hit the nail on the head again. She originally was playing in midfield, but Gotham converted her to a left back because they didn't have any other left backs. So it's a case of bits not similar to Steph Catley filling in as an emergency. It was just a case of needs must. So she's got that extra bit, but she can also play on the left wing if needed to as well. So she is very much another Swiss Army knife, very useful. I'm looking forward to seeing her play more. I'd like to see. I'm hoping these 6 months are going to be the inauguration of her, and then when it comes to the new season,
that's one thing I love about the January window, especially when we get our American players in. Like, we did it with Emily Fox. She came in the January. She sort of had the tail end of the season to sort herself out, and then now look what we've got.
Yeah,
amazing. Speaking of Emily Fox.
What a segue! Like
it. Martha Thomas cross was headed over the bar by Olivia Holt. I don't know if I said that right. Apologies if I haven't. In a very extremely rare attack from a dying game for Spurs, but arguably the best was yet to come. As our Super Emily Fox in the 90 minutes unleashed a rocket into the top left corner to get our fifth of the fantastic afternoon. Just wow.
It was the cherry on the icing on the cake, and I love 90-minute goals like this, and we've done quite a few of these. I think. Back to I think it was the Brighton game when Rooster got a penalty right at the death, because it's so easy for a game. It would have been easy for the game with about 30 minutes just to go handbrake neutral and coast, and like the game be a non-event, and people start looking at their phones and their watches and thinking, oh look, the 5:55's leaving, or whenever it is. I nothing else happened in this game, I'll leave. I mean, I'm always stay to the 90 minutes. People will make their own minds up, but I love that. We weren't just going to sit on this. We did have a few chances. I think Stina had a few moments, and Bruce had a few moments, and there were, it could have been more. But this felt like the perfect way to end the game, and a reward for the fans who obviously stayed for the entirety of the game. What a finish from Fox! Absolute belter, and I love the way they are so very quick. We can get caught into the horseshoe passing around the box, but what I love was the speed at which the ball was moved across the front of the Spurs box. So they didn't get a chance to set themselves. Fox lines it up, pile driver, top bins. Again, nothing Koepka could do about this one, despite her best efforts. And just a really, really special moment. I think you called this, Lottie, because I was asking, I think, for the Kelly goal or the Leah goal, and you were calling for the Fox goal. And I'm glad your wish was fulfilled, and it was a splendid finish.
What a first goal for the Arsenal, Matt.
Second goal.
Second. Oh.
First WSL.
I had to
First
bite my
WSL
tongue
goal.
there.
First WSL goal.
You know what?
Yes.
The other
That's
first
what I meant.
WSL goal that was very similar was Laura Wienerreiter's against Man
What, against Man-
United
Man
with the
United?
volley.
Tiny
But
tank.
fantastic Fox. I think what makes it better. I hope they do an accessible areas for this because I would love to
they
hear.
will.
I would love to hear what because the crowd, you can hear the crowd shout shoots. And she goes, you know what, I am going to shoot, and it's just one of those where it's come out of nothing, and it's very much Ali McCoy's take a bow some
Andy Gray.
sort of Andy Gray, is it? Oh, nearly there, but Ali McCoy sort of unbelievable sort of moment. It's also a way of celebrating a player who works so hard. I know I talk about Leah Volti, and she does when she scores. They are really good goals. That did surprise me actually. I think Leah Volti actually took one of the first shots, but it was blocks in the first half. But anyway, Emily Fox. I think that's goal of the month, and I think that might be one of the goals of the season's contenders.
I hope
it has
that
to
it
be.
gets voted. I hope on the Arsenal website. I hope it wins. I hope that is a goal against Spurs. It deserves it.
I think one thing that does sum it up is the fact that she just said afterwards. She just said, "I just had to have a go."
I think Leah Williamson was
I think in the
her to
interview,
shoot.
did
I
she
think.
say Leah Williamson was screaming at her to shoot?
Yeah.
Listen to the captain's orders. There you go.
Absolutely.
There is a nice photo as well that Susie's got out where they're all celebrating and Leslie's going over Jenna's head to pat Emily's head. So got a nice little photo there that she's got.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sort of last attempt at the game. We always singing "We Want 6." You probably didn't hear us from where we were sitting, but we got a bit
screaming
excited.
6. Yeah. And what's the cricket score?
Chloe Kelly's
Yeah.
corner shot hit the crossbar just before the full-time whistle was blown.
Yeah.
Before the celebrations began.
That would have been greedy. That would have been. I mean, I would have loved it, but I was in more polite terms.
No, I'm not taking that. I wanted the Chloe Kelly goal as well. How dare you? How dare you?
In cleaner language, I said to Mark that would be taking the mick. I'd have loved the Chloe Kelly goal, but like, come on, if she'd scored and we got to 6-0, that's like, I'm sorry, that's just ridiculous. But 5-0 Emirates Stadium, that's the biggest score in the North London derby at Emirates Stadium for the women's team. So can't say anything bad against that.
After all the frustration as well, not being able to play for the last couple of weeks, I think that was kind of hit out of frustration as well, and it was just one of those where you didn't think it would be an unbelievable goal if it happened, but unfortunately the crossbar got in the way. As I said earlier, the goal's going to happen. Is whether it's at Meadow Park or it's going to be at the Emirates, but there might be times where it will be a Chloe Kelly moment. Chloe Kelly is a moments player. She's a moments player. She will have her moments where she.
No, but she's the big moment player, and that's why she's so loved. That means for us now we remain third in the league, with only Man United to play at the end of the season. So. We remain third over the international break because Man United beat Palace. The Arsenal are back on Sunday, the 2nd of March at 5:30 p.m. Following the international break. We are going to have a slight break. We will be back on Thursday, the 27th of Feb, back with our international roundup. And then we're also back on the Friday to preview West Ham. You can follow the podcast at VAW Pod on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Lottie_AWFC. And Matt, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at SmackDown28.
Adam, how many places can people find you?
You can find me here. You can find me there. You can find me everywhere. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky at Adam Salter 4. And also, you can follow the Arsenal Women Archive on Blue Sky and Twitter as well. Plenty of clips coming up throughout the rest of the year. And I should say, massive thank you to everyone's help and support with the Wikipedia Archive project. We have now got every season recorded. To varying levels of coverage because we don't have all the information, but every season is acknowledged on Wikipedia for people to read. And just a massive thank you to everybody for their help and support. It's been very much appreciated.
And that's all from us for tonight. If you stayed with us for this long, thank you very much. Don't forget to smash the like button, click the follow button, and turn the notification bell on if you are watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Spotify, come find us on YouTube, give us a follow. And come on, you Gunners!